The Young Turks are known for many things. Accurate reporting? Not one of them.
A school district in Mississippi has decided to ban To Kill a Mockingbird from the reading list for its 8th grade students. Now, this isn't the first time To Kill a Mockingbird has received some criticism, backlash, or threats of a ban.
So far accurate. You're actually relaying the facts of the story.
However, the reason that school officials have given is fascinating, to say the least.
Why is it fascinating, Anna? Why is it fascinating that anyone would want to ban a book about the civil rights movement? I think you need to switch jobs. You'd fit in a movie theater better with all this projection.
So there have been more than 300 formal complaints against this book, and they've been reported by schools, colleges, and public libraries last year alone.
300 formal complaints? Let's see. 90,000 elementary schools, nearly 40,000 high schools, and approximately 1,400 colleges around the United States alone. Oh, and libraries? That number just about dwarfs these numbers combined. 119,487 public libraries in the United States. But you got 300 complaints reported. Quick, someone call the outrage police. Seriously, this took me less than a minute to Google. Why is this a thing?
A lot of it has to do with some of the language that's used in the book, and also a theme that's used in the book, which is, of course, if you've read To Kill a Mockingbird, it has to do with a black man who's been falsely accused of rape.
A man falsely accused of rape? Now we know it's fiction.
So there's sexual content in it as well.
Sexual content? In literature? Shock, horror, consternation, uproar.
And so it's just, go ahead, jump in.
And now we come to Cenk. Cenk. Just please don't jump.
The real reason that the book is banned in a lot of places is because it makes people in the South uncomfortable.
Really? Where do you get that information from? Because it sure wasn't in the article you cited. Let's see what your description has. Nothing? Sorry, what? You have nothing to back that argument with? You're just going to go on a tirade about how the entire South is racist who can't handle a book about its past.
It's about what happened in the 1930s in Alabama. That's where it's set. And it was released in 1960. Let me read you a part of what they explain in the book. So if you read the full context of the book, you'll understand that that it's not like the N-word is used in a positive way. No, it explains why it's so wrong, and that's part of what gets under some people's skin.
Yeah, I can tell. It's just getting under your paper-thin skin just saying the N-word, Cenk. But you have nothing to back up that statement.
So the book is incredibly clear on what a terrible word it is, and the people that use it are trash. So that gets under some people's skin. And so they're like, oh, what are you saying about Alabama?
No, Cenk, listen. When you win a Pulitzer for writing a piece of fiction that not only defines a generation and challenges norms and conventions for decades to come, maybe you'll be equipped to analyze this. But until then, why don't you leave To Kill a Mockingbird be with your inept botch analysis of why a public school district decided to ban it?
First of all, it's Alabama from the 1930s. If you're taking it personally, there's some chance there's something wrong with you.
Oh God, here we go. Cenk, you need to shut up and move on from this. This is not going well for you.
The recent example was in Biloxi, Mississippi. That is the school district that is calling for a ban on To Kill a Mockingbird. And when I say ban, it means that it's being taken off of the reading list for the 8th grade class. And look, I think that it's important to read these types of books because not only are they classics, but it reminds you of, what the history of the country was. Even though it's a fictional book, it still touches on historical themes in the US. And it shows that, hey, we have progressed somewhat, but more importantly, we have a dark past and we don't want to go back to that dark past. The only way you prevent, the cruel treatment that we experienced in history is to learn history.
Wow, Anna, that was very well spoken and eloquent. I'm actually impressed.
And what we're seeing right now is like this whitewashing of American history that I think is damaging.
Wait a second. What? What whitewashing? What are you talking about? Will you mention anything about that statement, or are you just going to leave it at that?
Go ahead.
I just want to say real quick.
Of course you did. You know, you had some really salient point there for a moment, and then you completely trashed your entire argument with this whitewashing statement. To be clear, I'm watching this video as I'm writing this script for the first time, so I have zero knowledge of what they have to say here.
But the overwhelming majority of African Americans are in favor of the book and want the book taught.
Where did you get that overwhelming majority tidbit from? Let's check your sources. Oh, that's right. It's an assertion. It's not an accurate news report. Go on.
Part of what the book did so well and why it was such a classic was it took the racist tropes of the past, things like you would see in The Birth of a Nation, Birth of a Nation, Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a Nation, a silent film from 1915. Back when racism, segregation, and lynching were still prominent, and more importantly, before the Civil Rights Act, and even more importantly, not relevant to this discussion. Birth of a Nation is a horrible, trashy piece of cinema that in no way indicates or signifies current-day America. Cenk, you hack.
Huge percentage of African Americans are, of course, in favor, not only just in favor of teaching the book, but quite upset, as Deon Cole was recently.
Again, you're not giving us numbers and figures. This is conjecture and anecdotal evidence. Deon Cole is not the majority of black people, nor does he speak for all black people. Just because he's on a show called Blackish.
Why they keep trying to change history and trying to make it, they're trying to get it to the point where nothing ill has ever happened to black people ever in life.
Okay, I'm not going to respond to Deon Cole's entire tirade here, but I will touch upon something here. No one is changing history. This is a work of fiction. A work of fiction that portrays the savage nature of American racism in the 30s, which most likely did happen in many shapes and forms. And this is why we have history books to tell us about history. This is why we have documentaries, films, books, the internet. Hell, we even have an entire month dedicated to black history in the US. There is no erasure going on. Is the school board correct in taking the book out of the curriculum? Of course not. But you're most content just clutching your pearls and squealing, "Won't somebody think of the blacks?" You're a bunch of racist hacks that do nothing but deprive black people of agency by presenting moral outrage as news reporting.
Reminded me of something, and made a great point in the beginning there, which is that it's funny that when you try to take Confederate monuments down, they say, you gotta preserve history.
And you and your side cheered on as those Confederate monuments were torn down. What's your point, Cenk? This book is still available. It's just been banned from one school district in Biloxi, Mississippi. A very diverse school district, I might add, with nearly a third of its populace occupied by black students back in 2006, which is the latest info I could find. It also houses roughly 5,000 students according to that information. And one more thing. This is the person that filed the complaint in Biloxi, Mississippi. And the reason she cited for the complaint is because the N-word was offensive to her. And because students were laughing when the teacher described certain things in the book. This sort of crap really irritates me. The reporting on this is not only shoddy and lacking in information, it's also highly misleading. The Young Turks just project their bias on every piece of journalism that they put out there, if you can even call it journalism. And they completely negate research, maybe call for a comment from the school districts, nothing. You didn't do any of that. What do you guys think? Do you think that banning this book has anything to do with the sensitivities of people in the South based on all the information that we've been presented thus far? Do you think that it's justified that a book be banned based on such a paltry amount of complaints contrasted against the staggering amount of schools, libraries, and colleges around the US? Leave your comments in the description below. Now I'm the finer print. Peace. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you think others might enjoy it, feel free to share it. If you didn't like it, let me know why in the comments below. I'm always open for dialogues, and I try to respond to most comments as they come in. If you like what I do and you'd like to support it, feel free to visit my Patreon and drop me a $1 donation. I'm the Finer Print. Peace.